हे एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक ऑन यूट्यूब चैनल। सो ये जो आज का वीडियो है वो एक कन्वर्सेशन है हमारे एक्सपर्ट, सैस एक्सपर्ट और उन सारे कैंडिडेट के बीच जिन्होंने मेरा सैस कोर्स लिया हुआ है। तो बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन आंसर हुए हैं इस वीडियो में। अगर आपके पास भी कोई सवाल होगा तो शायद इस वीडियो से आपको बहुत हेल्पफुल होने वाला है। तो आप ये वीडियो ज़रूर देखें पूरा और अपने दोस्तों के साथ शेयर करना ना भूलें। अगर आपके पास और कोई क्वेरी है सैस रिलेटेड तो आप मेरे लिंक्डइन पर रीच आउट कर सकते हो। नीचे कैलेंडर का लिंक है, उससे आप बुक कर सकते हो। तो चले स्टार्ट करते हैं ये वीडियो।
This entire session is all about how we can get more clarity about career choice we are going to make in SaaS, and that's why we choose you as our mentor, and I'm definitely looking forward that we will definitely get some better idea and clarity from your answer.
What is your
Just to
question,
conclude,
Nitin? Just to make sure I understand. So, are you? So, is your question that you want to understand, like, what you need to do to enter this field, or is it like? Yeah, I understand you've been through a phase where you spoke to people, but I want to make sure that I understand your question before I answer.
Yeah, please. So basically,
Yeah,
that's a generic one. I mean, that question becomes very generic. But specifically, to be very specific on that is, does the industry have space for my kind of guys? That's
Yeah.
the question.
So I can answer that piece. So first of all, I think SaaS, when we talk about SaaS, at the end of the day, we are trying to help customers solve their problems, right? And that problem can be in any area, right? We talk about transportation, we can talk about the processes they have within the company, whether it's a contract management process. Like there are like multiple of these issues that we are helping companies solve, right? And to sell that, you need people who know how to sell, right? And selling basically means two things, right? First is understanding the market, and second is understanding the customer need, right? If you know these two things, then and definitely you need to know your product, right? So I would say three things, right? So if you know these three things, you can go and sell. But the biggest point that we need to remember while we are selling is how we are solving the problem that the customer has, right? A lot of times we want to talk about our product a lot, right? We'll say like, yeah, ये तो best है, मतलब यहाँ पे मतलब हमारा इतना मतलब ये कंप्यूटर है, इसमें इतना कैपेसिटी है, इसमें मतलब ग्राफिक्स इतना फास्ट होता है, बट उसको जरूरत ही नहीं है ग्राफिक्स पे काम करने की। तो फर्स्ट वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि भाई उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट हाउ आई कैन सर्व दैट रिक्वायरमेंट, राइट? And that's what you have done for many years, right? In your sales background with all different companies and all different types of products that you have sold, right? So first point is that there is definitely a need for people like you who can go and sell the product because you understand the customer, you understand the market, right? Now, the next question that comes is that how do you connect the ability you have with the owners who are building these SaaS products so that they understand like you can add value for them, right? And the best way, in my view, to do that is is to talk to them more face to face. A lot of times we are separated and then we are just answering a few questions in an interview, right? And some of the things I've seen work well is just taking up something, even do something for free to show what you can contribute, right? And it's not easy, right? Like a lot of times we will think that matlab yaar mere paas to aise itna kaam hai, abhi ye kyun karna hai na? But when you get into something very new or very different and you have interest in that, right? And this is a growing industry, that it's at a very nascent stage. You have to take that initiative from your end and say like, yaar batao tumko mere ko batao ye tumhara kya problem hai which I can help and solve. Let me do it and show it to you, right? Because many times what happens is that when you show something and you get that result, people have confidence in you, and that's where the journey starts, right? So when how easy or difficult it is, I don't know, because it depends on the kind of people you have been talking to. But that's the one good way. People call it moonlighting, right? And where you're doing your own job, but you are trying to work with someone else, trying to help them solve some of their problems. And once you start doing it, you also understand whether you like doing it and the second is they know that you can actually help them, right? And once these two things happen, the journey starts, right? So think about it, that way, and see if it works.
ये बताइए कि एमबीए करना जरूरी है? मेरा बीटेक कंप्लीट हुआ है, बैचलर्स में।
MBA, it depends on your interest, right? Pranay, at the end of the day, क्या होता है कि मतलब there are things that you learn in MBA definitely that's useful. The biggest thing I realized is that you build a good connection, right? Because you will have people who will come from different backgrounds, and then उनके साथ जब connection होता है, and then they go in and start doing a few things. You can gain from that experience. Or एक चीज क्या, what I've seen when I went and did MBA, especially in places like ISP, people also come with a lot of their experience, right? They've worked previously. So once you start spending time with them, even in the classes, you learn a lot from them. So I think that definitely has an impact, and it also broadens your horizon, right? It gives you a good business perspective. As an engineer, we are very focused on like black and white, but the world, most of the things are in gray, right? So that's what people say. So once you do an MBA, you do and handle these cases which are very ambiguous. You learn to operate when you don't have all the answers, right? And that's where this MBA definitely helps. So that would be my recommendation. But this, again, you can learn a lot of these things with your experience. In your job, you work with people in a similar manner who has that experience. So you can also learn from them. So it's not like a must that you should do an MBA. So I told like what are the benefits, but then a lot of these things you would learn in job as well.
Do we have a scope where we can do any freelancing? Because as you now spoke and you told me, or you're instructing, saying that, suggesting, then you go, you try, you have to, of course, you have to take the stretch. I mean, you use the word moonlighting, but basically you're saying, Nitin, you'll have to probably stretch and offer yourself to somebody so that they explore you. You become their tool and they see if the tool becomes handy or not. But do we have that kind of a space also in SaaS?
No, I was saying like, and this is a situation which completely, kind of aligns to what I would say. Any situation, if you don't have a very defined path, is good and bad, right? And you can decide like which way you want to take it, right? When no one used to sell books online, Amazon thought we will start, selling books online. And there was no defined path, right? Like no one even thought like, you can sell books online, right? So when that happens, people don't want to enter that space, right? And then you get enough time to establish yourself, right? It's an example which applies at each and every area, right? जहाँ पे भीड़ चाल रहती है ना, वहाँ पे opportunity अपने आप कम हो जाती है. जैसे सब लोग IIT जाना चाहते हैं, तो IIT से निकलने के बाद there are only a set of things you would end up doing unless you just completely go out of the way and try something on your own, right? Same applies to MBA. MBA करने के बाद you join a corporate sector in a very traditional company. You know what your path is already defined, right? People who do extremely well are people who go out of the path and try something on their own. But the point is that they are taking a much bigger risk, right? So if you take big risk, you would probably gain a lot, or you will completely screw yourself, right? From a career standpoint, financial standpoint. But that's the risk you're taking, right? So exactly same change applies here, right? If you had like specific certificate, you do that. Just imagine there would be 10,000 more people who will do the same thing, right? उनको भी पता चल जाएगा. ये तो है नहीं कि मतलब सिर्फ आपको ही पता चलेगा ये सर्टिफिकेट करने के बाद मिल जाता है. तो those 10,000 people will be in the line with you, right? And say like यार ठीक है, मैंने 10 साल का ये सेल्स करियर है, इसके बाद मैंने ये 1 साल का कोर्स कर लिया और अभी मैं मतलब रेडी हूँ SaaS में जाने के लिए, है ना? So that's why I'm saying like, this is a good stage where you start connecting with people. There are different models, as Pratik said, right? Which the founders are happy to work with you. You do a sales for them, and then they will give you a percentage or a cut from that. So those options are there. So they don't lose anything. You don't gain anything till the time you deliver a result. But then that's how you build that connection. The question is, do you want to do that, right? हमेशा क्वेश्चन अपने ऊपर ही रहता है, राइट? यू कैन,
वो तो है।
पॉइंट वही आता है कि वी डोंट वांट टू टेक दैट रिस्क, राइट? वी आर हैप्पी विद अ डिफाइंड करियर वेयर यू हैव सिक्योरिटी, महीने का मतलब सैलरी, बिकॉज दोज थिंग्स काइंड ऑफ बाइंड अस, राइट? वो उसकी आदत पड़ जाती है हमको, और एक बार आदत जब पड़ जाती है तो देन मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स वी माइट से यार ये सही नहीं है, ये अंगूर खट्टे हैं, बट द पॉइंट इज लाइक यार वो अंगूर खाने के लिए मेरे को तो मतलब आई हैव टू get this thing, go there, which will impact some of these things on this side, right? So think about it that way, and then Pratik anyway shared that he has been doing a lot of these things, so we can continue to connect. Yeah,
सर मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ कि इसमें जो बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटी है, एज ए फ्रीलांसर बोल रहे हैं, किसी कंपनी के लिए काम कर रहे हैं परसेंटेज बेसिस पर, एट ए टाइम बहुत सारे कंपनी के लिए काम कर सकते हैं अलग अलग सॉफ्टवेयर के लिए, जैसे CRM सॉफ्टवेयर अलग हो गया, ट्रैकिंग के सॉफ्टवेयर है, लॉजिस्टिक्स के है, कुछ मार्केटिंग के है, जो सॉफ्टवेयर अपन में काम कर सकते हैं जिस फील्ड में परसेंटेज बेसिस पे काम कर सकते हैं, आपने बोला उसके बारे में कुछ स्टेटस बताइए।
नहीं, see, first of all I think Pranay, you need to think like मतलब आपको इंटरेस्ट किस चीज में है, क्योंकि
लॉजिस्टिक सॉल्यूशन,
हाँ करेक्ट, so it's best to start in the area you are interested in, नहीं तो क्या होगा कि मतलब आप करोगे फिर आपको मजा नहीं आएगा, मतलब जिस चीज में आप whatever you enjoy you will do well, right? So कोई भी एक एरिया पकड़ो जहाँ पे मतलब you have some interest, you have some understanding and knowledge, so you get a easier start. एक बार स्टार्ट होने के बाद then you can figure out what else is interesting for you, right? Yeah, so that would be my recommendation. Start with something where you are interested, and then you can learn from it.
Yes, sure.
And as we are speaking,
this is very much.
Yeah, please Pratik.
Yeah, so this is very much important. SaaS में जैसे सर ने बोला कि जिसमें इंटरेस्ट है, I will add one more thing. जिसमें इंटरेस्ट के साथ आपका आप पेन एरिया को भी बहुत अच्छे से समझ रहे हो कि this is the pain area which this solution is solved. That is very much important in SaaS, right? So I know the pain of logistics people, and I'm very passionate about solving that pain area. So that's why I'm doing much good in this logistic. Might be मैं CRM का सॉफ्टवेयर सेल कर रहा होता या कोई और सॉफ्टवेयर कर रहा था तो मैं नहीं कर पाता इतना अच्छा, क्योंकि मुझे उनका पेन एरिया ज्यादा समझ में नहीं आता. But this is one, like if you are interested and you know the pain areas, that what is the exact pain area they are facing and what kind of solution you are giving to those people.
So ये प्रॉब्लम तो मतलब हमेशा आता है ना, मतलब जब लोग कोडैक में काम करते थे, ठीक है, तो उनको लगता था यार ये डिजिटल फोटोग्राफी क्या करेगी, मतलब दैट्स व्हाट यू रीड दोस केस स्टडीज अबाउट कोडैक, राइट? You read those case studies about Nokia, right? So it's the same, it's basically the same situation you are in right now, right? Where you are in the comfort zone of a traditional industry where the revenue model is defined, the cost structure is defined, right? You know that I'm going to get this kind of salary, the company is going to make this kind of a profit, and it's not defined for many of these startups, right? Even today, many of these startups are not making money. People like even Paytm, who has been there for a long period of time, right? Gone through the IPO, and even after that, Uber for that matter, right? So this is the question. I don't think I can answer. You have to answer for yourself, right? Whether you want to take this high risk bet while you have a more defined career path, right? Because again, that's where we started with, right? Saying सबसे पहले हमने क्या बात किया था कि वैसे high risk high gain, the gain may come may not come, right? It can go the other way around, right? So इसलिए मतलब you have to figure out whether you want to try some of these things. A lot of these models completely feels hard. I'll give you an example. 2005-6, when I was doing my MBA at ISB, and we used to talk in the class that there is no way Google can make any kind of money, right? मतलब किसी को समझ में नहीं आता, गूगल कर रहे हैं, पता नहीं क्या कर रहे हैं, मतलब फ्री में सब लोग को सर्च करने को दे रहा है, कभी ये कंपनी पैसा कैसे बनाएगी, मतलब पता नहीं. हाँ, उस समय एक there used to be a network, like आज सब लोग फेसबुक जानते हैं, उस समय एक ऑर्कुट करके होता था. I don't know if you even heard of it. अभी किसी को नाम ही पता नहीं है उसका. तो
मतलब हम एज हो गए अभी.
Correct. So and on the other end, look at Facebook. Like they are like such big. They make so much money. Google makes so much money. But even 15 years back, no one even thought कि यार ये सब business कैसे चलेंगी, मतलब there's no way these businesses will run. It's the same question. So my point is like, आप अगर 10 लोगों से बात करोगे, उनमें से एक का business चलेगा आगे जाके, ठीक है, 9 लोगों का नहीं चलेगा. That's how startups operate, right? If you open 10 startups or you see 10 startups, one of them, or even if you take 100, probably one or two of them will actually do really well, right? The question is like, are you with the right startup? You don't know the answer because they are at a very initial stage. They are trying to build like a very unique model. So आपको पता नहीं है कि ये बग सोल्यूशन काम करेगा या मतलब एक टीएमएस बनाया तो वो काम करेगा, और अगर 10 लोगों ने टीएमएस बनाया, किसका टीएमएस काम करेगा, राइट? So that's the one question you are asking, which you have to get an answer by working with them. If you work with one or two of them, one of them might be a good way. But the main point from my standpoint is, you should think that, is there anything I can learn from them, right? Because आपको अगर लगेगा कि सब कुछ everything has to be figured out and then you will jump, then it's already too late, right? Because then तो मतलब 10 लोग और आ जाएंगे कि यार ठीक है यार, ये तो सब कुछ मेरे को 10,000, मैं बोल रहा हूँ बोलने के लिए कि 10,000 सैलरी मिलता है, उसने मेरे को 10,000 सैलरी दे दिया. यहाँ पे मेरे को 2 साल बाद प्रमोशन मिलता था, उसने ऑलरेडी मेरे को नेक्स्ट लेवल पे दे दिया, ऊपर से स्टॉक ऑप्शन दे दिया, सारा कुछ दे ही दिया. तो फिर तो सारी सब लोग करेंगे ना, मतलब everyone will jump into that. If you want to take that risk, if you want to learn something new, and then even if that particular startup may not be super successful, what will happen is that it might help you in get somewhere else which can become more successful, right?
Yeah,
so that's why I was talking like you need to start the journey somewhere, right? And that may not take you to the destination where you start the journey, but that gives you experience to get on the right path at some point, right? That's how I will put it.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for joining and giving your time. And thank you, everyone. Hope this session helped you out to clear
Yeah,
the
it was.
doubts from. Yeah.
Thanks, Pratik, for
Thank you.
inviting me, and have a good evening, guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure. Thank you
Thank
for
you, sir.
coming
Thank
here.
you.
Bye.
Bye.